When someone starts a minibus or taxi business, hundreds or thousands just do the same. We do not take time to think, to explore, to research what business or venture would do well in our town or locality, and we just go along with the flow. Not long ago, Albert Schweitzer, the great doctor and Nobel Prize winner, was being interviewed in London, and a reporter asked him, "Doctor, what's wrong with man today?" The great doctor was silent a moment, and then he said, "Men simply don't think." And it's about this fact that I would like to share today, about the fact that men don't think enough. Many of us, including me, when I was younger, we did not think things through. Maybe we didn't have all the facts, or we were confused, or we just didn't know how to. However, now that one is older, we know how important it is to take time to think and to think things through. Think while reading, think while listening, and when you get ideas, to mark it down immediately and implement it ASAP, as soon as possible. Modern research says that most of the time a person uses only 10% of their minds to think and create. The other 90% is just lying there without much usage. Today we are swamped with social media, TV films, Netflix, and we're all busy. Do we really take time to think? Or are we just aimlessly being entertained and drifting by in life? Compared to 50 or 100 years ago, we live today in a so-called golden age, an era that men throughout the ages have looked forward to. And if we only look around and apply our brains and perhaps use our hands to work, don't you think that we can find ways and means to prosper and to live in a land of abundant opportunity for everyone? According to the American author Earl Nightingale, if we take 100 men who started equally at the age of 25, by the time they were 65 years old, only 5 of them were successful. 1 would be rich, 4 would be financially stable, 5 would still be working, and 54 would be broke. Now think about this. Out of the 100, only 5 made the grade. Only 5 were successful in life. So when we say about 5% achieve success, we have to define success. And here is a great definition. Success is the progressive realization of a worthy ideal. If a man is working towards a predetermined goal and knows where he is going, that man is a success. But if he is not doing that, he is most likely he will be a failure. So success is the progressive realization of a worthy ideal. The distinguished psychiatrist Rollo May says in his book called Man's Search for Himself, he says, and I quote, "The opposite of courage in our society is not cowardice, it is conformity. And there lies the trouble today in our life and society." In Nagaland right now, there are over 1,45,000 people who are 65 years of age and over. And about 1 lakh of these 1,45,000 people are just doing fine. They are either broke or not really successful. They are dependent on someone else for life's necessities. Many of us learn to read by the time we are 7. We learn to make a living by the time we are 25 or 30. Or we could even make a living and even support a family during that time. Yet by the time we are 65, why haven't many of us learned how to be financially independent or have a degree of success in our lives? Why? Because we conform. Perhaps the trouble is we are acting like the wrong group, the 95% who do not succeed. Even in business or entrepreneurship, we Nagas tend to just conform and copy what others are doing. When someone starts a minibus or taxi business, hundreds or thousands just do the same. We do not take time to think, to explore, to research what business or venture would do well in our town or locality, and we just go along with the flow, the mass, and we conform. Now, talking about conformity, why do people conform? Well, many people don't really know. These people believe that their lives are shaped by circumstances, by things that are external, beyond them. We Nagas, many of our forefathers were animists, and many still believe in fate, or jatara, or bad luck, etc. And many tend to believe that their life was ordained for them, and that they cannot improve it or overcome obstacles. And if this mindset persists, I'm afraid many of our people will remain enchained or not be able to achieve a degree of success even in their lives. The opposite of courage in our society is not cowardice, it is conformity, acting and doing what everyone else is doing. This can happen anywhere from Nagaland to America to Africa. A survey was made one time that covered a lot of working men, and these men were asked, "Why do you work? Why do you get up in the morning to work?" So 19 out of 20 said they had no idea. If you ask them, they will say, "Everyone goes to work in the morning, and that's the reason they do it, because everyone else is doing it." Now let's get back to our definition of success. Who succeeds? The only man who succeeds is the man who is progressively realizing a worthy ideal, who is continuously doing what his goal is, his ideal is. He is the man who says, "I'm going to become this," and then begins to work towards that goal. Examples of success are the school teacher who is teaching school because that's what he wanted to do. The success is the woman who is a wife and mother because she wanted to become a wife and mother and is doing a good job of it. The success is the man who runs the corner street shop because that's what he wanted to do. A success is anyone who is doing deliberately a predetermined job because that's what he decided to do deliberately. But only 1 out of 20 does that. Why? Now for 20 years, Earl Nightingale says he looked for the key, the chabi, which would determine what would happen to a human being. Was there a key he wanted to know, which would make the future successful to a large extent? Is there a key that would guarantee a person's becoming successful if he only knew about it and he knew how to use it? According to Earl Nightingale again, there's such a key and he found it. Have you ever wondered why so many men work so hard and honestly without ever achieving anything in particular, and others don't seem to work hard and yet they seem to get everything, as if they have a magic touch and everything they touch turns to gold? Have you noticed that a man who becomes successful tends to continue to become successful? And on the other hand, have you noticed how a man who's a failure tends to continue to fail? Well, it's because of goals. Some of us have them, some of us don't have it. People with goals succeed because they know where they are going. We all need a destination, a goal, and guidance. Why do men with goals succeed in life and men without goals fail? That is the question. Well, let me tell you something, which is if you really understand, it will really alter your life immediately. According to Earl Nightingale and many learned men across the decades, here's the key to success and the key to failure. We become what we think about. Now let me say that again. We become what we think about. Throughout all history, the great wise men and teachers, philosophers and prophets have disagreed with one another on many different things. It is only on this one point that they are in complete agreement. That is, we become what we think about. The American philosopher and poet Ralph Waldo Emerson said this: "A man is what he thinks about all day long." William James, American philosopher, said, "The greatest discovery of my generation is that human beings can alter their lives by altering their attitudes of mind." In the Bible, in Mark 9:23, "If thou canst believe, all things are possible to him that believeth." Dr. Norman Vincent Peale, American minister and author, said this: "This is one of the greatest laws in the universe. And the great law, briefly and simply stated, is that if you think in negative terms, you will get negative results. If you think in positive terms, you will achieve positive results. That is simple fact, which is the basis of the astonishing law of prosperity and success." Unquote. In 3 words, believe and you will succeed. George Bernard Shaw said, quote, "People are always blaming their circumstances for what they are. I don't believe in circumstances. The people who get on with this world are the people who get up and look for the circumstances they want. And if they can't find them, make them." What about we Nagas? Many of us keep on blaming our circumstances, blaming one another. The public blames the government, the state blames the center, blame game going around. In all this, do we look for circumstances, scenarios which we want and have thought out, and make these scenarios to happen ourselves? We become what we think about. Now it stands to reason that a person who is thinking about a concrete and worthwhile goal is going to reach it, because that's what he's thinking about. And we become what we think about. Conversely, the man who has no goal, and whose thoughts might be therefore thoughts of confusion, anxiety, fear, and worry, becomes what he thinks about. And if he thinks about nothing, he becomes nothing. Thank you for joining me today.